It was just an accident, wasn't she? My mom's voice trembled as she clutched my hospital bed railing. Please, Amanda, don't say anything that could tear this family apart. I lay there, my body aching from multiple fractures, staring at the ceiling while trying to process her words. The memory of Janet, my mother-in-law, placing her hands on my back moments before I tumbled down our basement stairs, played on repeat in my mind. I'm Amanda Chen, 32, and until yesterday, I thought my biggest problem was Janet's passive-aggressive comments about my inability to give her son children. Now, lying in his hospital bed with 3 broken ribs, a fractured wrist, and a concussion, I realize how wrong I've been. Mrs. Wilson? A deep voice interrupted my thoughts. A tall man in a security uniform stood at my door, tablet in hand. I'm Marcus Thompson, head of hospital security. Could we speak privately for a moment? My mother's grip on the railing tightened. I'm her mother. Anything you need to say? Ma'am, Marcus cut in firmly, this needs to be private. After my mother reluctantly left, Marcus closed the door and pulled up a chair. Mrs. Wilson, our parking lot cameras captured something concerning when you were brought in yesterday. He paused, studying my face. Your mother-in-law's statement about finding you at the bottom of the stairs doesn't match what we saw. My heart started racing. What do you mean? He turned his tablet around, showing me footage from what appeared to be a neighbor's security camera. The angle perfectly captured Janet's car arriving at my house, her entering through the back door, using her own key that my husband had given her without my consent, and leaving 40 minutes later, looking rushed. We also have footage of her arriving at the hospital before the ambulance. Marcus continued, swiping to another video. She told the staff she found you unconscious, but our cameras show she was already here, waiting. Tears welled up in my eyes. For 3 years, I'd endured Janet's subtle cruelty. The comments about my fertility struggles, the accidental spilling of drinks on my favorite clothes, the constant criticism of my cooking, my career, my existence. My husband David always dismissed it. That's just how Mom is, he'd say. You're being too sensitive. There's more, Marcus said quietly. Your neighbor's camera caught something else. He played another clip. Through the basement window, you could clearly see 2 figures, Janet and me. Then, unmistakably, her hands shoving my back, my body disappearing from view. I covered my mouth, suppressing a sob. The pain in my ribs intensified. Mrs. Wilson, Marcus leaned forward, his voice gentle but firm. I've been doing this job for 15 years. I've seen too many cases where family violence was swept under the rug. The pattern escalates. Next time could be worse. My mom wants me to stay quiet, I whispered. She says it would destroy David if I accused his mother. And what about what Janet destroyed in you? Marcus asked. Your safety, your trust, your right to feel secure in your own home? Before I could respond, there was a commotion outside my door. Janet's voice carried through, loud and concerned. I simply must see my dear daughter-in-law. I brought her favorite soup. Marcus quickly stood, positioning himself between me and the door. Mrs. Wilson, you have options. We've already notified the police, but whether you press charges is your decision. Whatever you choose, know that we have the evidence secured. Janet burst in, carrying a container of soup, her face a mask of motherly concern. She faltered when she saw Marcus. Oh, I didn't realize Amanda had company. Her eyes darted between us, a flicker of unease crossing her features. Marcus straightened to his full height. Mrs. Janet Wilson, perfect timing. The police would like to speak with you about yesterday's incident. The soup container slipped from Janet's hands, crashing to the floor. Behind her, I saw my mother's face go pale. For the first time since my marriage to David, I saw fear in Janet's eyes, the same fear I'd felt at the top of those stairs, the same fear I'd lived with every time she'd shown up unannounced at my house. Amanda, Janet's voice turned sickly sweet. Surely you told him it was an accident? You know how clumsy you can be. I looked at the spilled soup on the floor, then at Marcus's supportive expression, and finally at my mother's pleading face in the doorway. This was my moment to choose. Continue being the victim of Janet's escalating abuse or stand up for myself, regardless of the family fallout. I took a deep breath, ignoring the pain in my ribs, and pressed the call button for my nurse. It was time to tell my story. The police interview wasn't what I expected. Detective Sarah Mills stepped beside my hospital bed, her notebook open, eyes kind but professional. Take your time, Mrs. Wilson. Start from the beginning. I glanced at Marcus, who stood by the door like a guardian, before speaking. Janet started coming to our house unannounced after David gave her a key 3 months ago. She said she needed it for emergencies, but she'd show up whenever I was alone. Your husband was okay with this? Detective Mills asked. David, I paused, the truth feeling bitter in my mouth. David never saw how she really was. To him, she was just being helpful, checking on me because of my fertility treatments. But she'd go through our things, rearrange our bedroom, criticize everything. As I spoke, the detective's pen moved steadily across her notebook. I told her about the escalating incidents, how Janet had accidentally deleted my work presentations from my laptop, how she'd thrown away the fertility medication she deemed unnecessary, how she'd started telling neighbors I was mentally unstable. Yesterday, my voice shook. I was organizing the basement when I heard her come in. She started talking about how David deserved better, how I was failing as a wife. When I turned to leave, I couldn't finish. We have it on video, Marcus interjected quietly. Just then, David burst into the room, his face a storm of confusion and anger. Amanda, Mom's been arrested. What's going on? Detective Mills stood, positioning herself between us. Mr. Wilson, this is an active investigation. You'll need to step outside. Investigation? That's ridiculous. My mother would never hurt anyone. He tried to move past her, but Marcus blocked his path. David, I called out, my voice stronger than I felt. There's video footage. Security cameras caught everything. He froze. What? Detective Mills gestured to Marcus, who pulled up the footage on his tablet. David's face drained of color as he watched his mother deliberately push me down the stairs. No, he whispered. There must be some mistake. Mom said you tripped. She lied, I said softly, like she's been lying about everything. David sank into a chair, his world visibly crumbling. All those times you tried to tell me. I didn't listen. I didn't want to believe. Mr. Wilson, Detective Mills interrupted, we'll need your statement as well. There's evidence suggesting a pattern of harassment. My mother appeared in the doorway, wringing her hands. Amanda, please. Janet's family. Think about what this will do to everyone. I am thinking about everyone, I replied, surprising myself with my steadiness. I'm thinking about every woman who's been told to stay quiet for family peace. I'm thinking about how Janet might treat David's next wife if I let this go. I'm thinking about myself for once. David looked up, tears in his eyes. Next wife? I can't stay, David. Not after this. Not after years of you choosing not to see what was happening. Detective Mills cleared her throat. Mrs. Wilson, we'll need to take formal statements from everyone. Given the evidence and the severity of your injuries, we're pursuing felony charges. My mother gasped. Felony? But 3 broken ribs, a fractured wrist, concussion, Marcus listed off, plus the premeditation shown in the security footage. She waited for Mrs. Wilson to be alone, used a key she shouldn't have had, and deliberately chose the basement stairs. David stood suddenly. I need to see my mother. She's in custody, Detective Mills stated. And given the circumstances, we recommend no contact between Mrs. Wilson and any of the involved parties for now. As they left, the detective leading David away, Marcus escorting my mother out, I felt a strange sense of peace beneath my physical pain. For the first time in years, I didn't have to pretend everything was fine. My phone lit up with messages from Janet's friends, David's family, all demanding I drop the charges. I turned it off without reading them. Instead, I reached for the notebook beside my bed and began writing. Everything Janet had done, every time David had dismissed my concerns, every moment I'd been told to keep quiet for the family's sake. This wasn't just about the stairs anymore. This was about breaking free from a pattern of abuse that had been disguised as family loyalty. The sun was setting outside my hospital window, casting long shadows across my bed. Tomorrow would bring more questions, more pressure, more attempts to make me back down. But for now, I had the truth on my side, captured on video for everyone to see. And for once, that felt like enough. 2 months after the incident, I sat in the courtroom, watching Janet face the judge. She traded her designer outfits for simple business attire, trying to project an image of a harmless grandmother. But the security footage, playing on the courtroom screens, told a different story. Mrs. Janet Wilson, the judge's voice resonated through the chamber. The evidence presented here shows not just a single act of violence, but a calculated pattern of abuse and intimidation. I felt David shift uncomfortably beside me. After weeks of therapy and seeing the full extent of his mother's actions, he'd finally chosen to support my decision to press charges. It had cost him relationships with several family members, but for the first time in our marriage, he was standing with me instead of his mother. Your Honor, Janet's lawyer began, my client has been an upstanding member of the community for decades. This unfortunate incident? Detective Mills interrupted, standing. We have documented evidence of Mrs. Janet Wilson using her key to enter the victim's house 27 times without permission. Security footage shows her deliberately pushing her daughter-in-law down a flight of stairs. Hospital records confirm multiple serious injuries. This was attempted murder, not an incident. Janet's face contorted. I was protecting my son. She burst out, ignoring her lawyer's attempt to quiet her. She's been denying him children, poisoning him against me. I had to do something. The courtroom fell silent. Her outburst had just confirmed everything we'd been trying to prove about her state of mind. The judge's gavel cracked like thunder. Mrs. Wilson, you've just demonstrated exactly why this court needs to take severe action. You show no remorse, no recognition of the criminality of your actions. I watched as Janet's face crumpled, the reality of her situation finally hitting her. The judge sentenced her to 7 years in prison with mandatory psychiatric evaluation and a permanent restraining order. As the bailiff led her away, she turned to David one last time. Son, please, don't let her destroy our family. But David stood firm, his hand finding mine. You destroyed it yourself, Mom, the moment you decided to hurt my wife. Outside the courthouse, my mother approached me, tears in her eyes. Amanda, I'm so sorry. I was wrong to ask you to stay quiet. Seeing everything in court today, I never realized how bad it was. I accepted her hug carefully, my ribs still tender. I know, Mom, but it's time we all learned that family peace shouldn't come at the cost of someone's safety. Marcus, who had testified about the security footage, stopped by to check on me. You did good, Mrs. Wilson. Your case has inspired 3 other women in similar situations to come forward. That news made everything worth it. My private nightmare had become a beacon of hope for others. 6 months later, I stood in front of a support group for survivors of family violence, sharing my story. David sat in the back, supporting my decision to help others. Our marriage was different now. Stronger in some ways, more cautious in others. We'd started couples therapy, learning to build boundaries and trust again. The hardest part wasn't the physical pain, I told the group. It was fighting the pressure to stay quiet, to put family image above personal safety. But true family doesn't demand your silence in the face of abuse. After the meeting, a young woman approached me, clutching my printed story from the local paper. Your courage made me realize I don't have to accept my mother-in-law's abuse, she whispered. I'm leaving next week. That night, in our new house, far from the one with the basement stairs, David and I sat on our porch, talking about the future. The fertility clinic called, I said softly. They say we can restart treatments whenever we're ready. He squeezed my hand. Only if you want to. No pressure, no timeline. We do this on our terms, no one else's. I smiled, feeling the weight of Janet's expectations finally lifting. We'd chosen to make our story public, using it to raise awareness about family violence and the importance of believing victims. The security footage had been used in training programs for hospital staff, teaching them to look for signs of abuse. My phone buzzed, a text from Marcus. Another hospital had adopted the security protocol he developed after my case, ensuring that surveillance footage would be immediately reviewed in suspicious injury cases. You know, David said, Mom's actions actually revealed something beautiful. All the people who were willing to stand up and help you. Marcus, Detective Mills, even the neighbors who shared their security footage. I nodded, thinking of the support group, the other survivors finding their voice. Janet had tried to silence me, but instead, she'd given me a platform to speak louder than ever. As the sun set, I felt at peace. The stairs hadn't broken me, they'd shown me my own strength, the power of truth, and the importance of real family, the kind that lifts you up instead of pushing you down.